Welcome to this very special edition of the KAJ Masterclass Live, the show which ensures that you profit from your time spent here with experts, either through their industry insights, information, or simply learning from them. And today we have with us Tom Vander Well. He is the owner and CEO of Intelligentix and has spent more than 30 years helping organizations improve customer experience, service culture, and business performance. He has analyzed more than 100,000 customer interactions across industries. He brings a unique perspective on leadership, communication, human behavior, and relationships. So we'll learn from him about his holy trinity of customer satisfaction, three universals that every customer expects every single call. And he explains what listening at scale taught him about leadership, accountability, and culture, why small businesses benefit from call monitoring as much as large corporations, and how AI is changing quality assessment without replacing the human element. Welcome to the show, Tom.
Thank you so much, AJ. Really appreciate it. It's just an honor to be on the show.
You are welcome. Welcome to the show, Tom. Welcome to India in this online form. And I'm sure not just in India, but a lot of people, a lot of customers, a lot of organizations across the globe will benefit from what we are going to talk right now. We'll talk about the three universals of customer expectation that you talk about and much more. But before that, let's talk a bit about your journey, your background, so that the audience knows who they are listening to.
Wonderful. So in 1994, I was hired by the company that I now own. The founder of our company hired me. And at that point in time, in 1994, the whole idea of call monitoring and quality assessment was kind of a new emerging discipline. And in fact, when I began my first client, we literally were using cassette recorders back in the day. Some of your younger audiences might not even know what that is. But it was a very manual process and it was very new. And so I was kind of a pioneer in the discipline. And over 30 years, I have, as you mentioned, listened to over 300,000 phone calls. But what Intelligentix really does, it's part of the process. We begin by doing classic customer research to determine what is it that drives customers' expectations. And then using that data, we listen strategically to the calls based on that client's, that company's customer profile and what the customers say they expect. And with the data from what we hear in the quality assessment, we're able then to craft custom training and coaching to fill the gap between the two. And it becomes a cycle of continuous improvement. And we've had clients that we've basically gone around that circle of continuous improvement for 25 plus years. And so I've just had this unique experience, AJ, of listening to phone calls from a customer's perspective in order to try and move a business forward. And it's not just about what the CSR says or how they say it. That's a piece of it. But as you listen and monitor from a customer's perspective, we're also listening systemically. What policies aren't working that caused the customer to have to call in the first place? What procedures does the company have in place? The CSR is doing everything they've been asked to do and doing the best they can, but there's a procedure that doesn't work for the customer. And so we're able to go to management and say, you need to fix your side of the issue, which is the policies, the procedures, the systems. And then we'll deal with the CSRs on what they say and how they say it. And without that holistic approach, the whole quality assessment process is really handicapped and will never do what it's designed to do. And so that's the perspective I've come from in 30 plus years and 100,000 plus phone calls.
Absolutely, absolutely, Tom. Thank you for that. So I want to understand for the audience is that, in the last 20, 30 years, with all those companies coming in, many companies, everything was there for a lot of these calls were being monitored by, hundreds and thousands and millions of so-called, quality check managers. They were also listening to these calls, and then perhaps their superiors were also listening and perhaps taking action or not action. But we have least come to a place where a lot of customers hate a lot of companies, despise their calls, despise their, all these things. What was the difference between their listening to such calls, and what was the difference between your listening to the, almost the same sort of calls?
Right. What I've seen for the most part, AJ, is that quality assessment tends to, for the most part, be something that happens internally within a company. So you have somebody, you have a QA team, or you have the people, managers in the contact center who listen to the calls. And as soon as you do that, and the other thing is that oftentimes internally that mission is literally to hold CSRs accountable and to make sure you know what they're doing and try and drive a certain kind of standard. But what happens as soon as you begin doing it internally, and I talk a lot about this in the book, is that you immediately have bias. You've got a manager maybe or a QA specialist. They're looking at everything with an internal focus, with internal bias, and really looking at it from an internal business perspective. And you're going to miss, number one, you're going to miss so much when you do that. And number two, it's very easy for the entire QA process at that point to become nothing more than a way to, be critical of your people. And CSRs feel like it's punitive and it's punishing and inherently negative. Coming from the outside as a third party, hired by management to really look at the customer's perspective, my team has no bias. We don't know who these CSRs are. We're just putting ourselves in the shoes of the customer. And our goal and mission really is to help this company do better. And so we want to come in and empower and equip and educate in order to make the company more successful by delivering a more consistent level of service excellence on every call.
Absolutely, absolutely. I don't know, with the level of customer dissatisfaction with companies, their products, and especially with services, and especially with after sales services, and especially with bots coming in, and the owners themselves busy on, I don't know, social media platforms and talking about all those great leadership stuff. I don't know what they are actually wanting to understand from your understanding, Tom. Means I think a lot of water has already, gone past under the bridge. And now what is there to salvage? What is so difficult to understand about humans? What is so difficult to understand what the customer wants, especially when they have failed in all aspects in those 30 years of listening? Who is listening to you, Tom, then?
Well, who, the person in the CEO, the corner office of the C-suite makes all the difference in the world. And time and time again, the clients that we have found who understand the power of quality assessment and the power of understanding who your customers are and tailoring the customer experience to meet and exceed those, typically are leaders who understand the long game. They understand the value of a service experience that keeps customers loyal, coming back, and bringing their friends along the way. That the word of mouth, like I never want to do business with another company because the experience with this company is so good. And I have also found, AJ, many of our clients are in a position of being the high-priced, company in their particular market, and they charge a little bit more for their products but they also know that they're delivering a service experience that cannot be paralleled in their marketplace, and customers are willing to pay it and keep coming back. They'll complain. They'll always complain, but they keep coming back. And one of my clients one time, whom I love, he said, the day my customers stop complaining about my prices is the day that I raise my prices. Because he just understood that he had the power to charge a little bit more because his customers would keep coming back for the experience that no other competitor could give them.
Absolutely, absolutely. So help us understand. You talk about that most of these businesses, many of them, they focus on metrics, processes, and technology while overlooking the human factors that ultimately drive trust, loyalty, performance, and growth. I want to keep coming on to such things. Why have these intelligent people not even able to understand this basic fact that it's all about humans? Customers are human first. They have human needs through their product or services. Why do they focus so much on everything else rather than understanding customer who is a human first? And that will continue to be always there. Robots will not start consuming, what humans are consuming. They will always consume what they have to, but humans will only be the right kind of customers in that sense. Tom, why is it then? Has it been deliberate? Is it the CEOs who have been responsible, or should we say that it is the lower rung person who is just listening to that call and just trying to ensure that everything is all right?
I go back to, this is a leadership issue, and for many years, and I came up when quality assessment and call monitoring was a fad, and everybody jumped in to do it, and then we went through the phase where it kind of went out of fashion because many companies couldn't do it well and couldn't find the value in it because they were doing it poorly and doing it wrong. And so then there was a backlash, and companies decided, well, it just doesn't work. And in that backlash, one of the thoughts that emerged in the C-suites around the world is that customer service is nothing but a cost center. And so it's all about managing and containing your costs. Well, if you're a bean counter in the C-suite and you're approaching customer service as if it's a cost center that needs to be managed, well, naturally what you're going to do is you're going to look at everything you can on a spreadsheet that tells you what's happening, which happens, that's the metrics that tell you how many calls you're taking per day, what's your average speed of answer, what's your average call time. And so here, let me give you a real life illustration. This is a true story.
Right.
It happened in an insurance company right here in Iowa where I live. And a bean counter in the C-suite decided we're going to manage costs. We have all of these metrics that told him, and again, this is several years ago, but told him, like, for example, the average call time in his customer service area was 3 minutes long. So in true bean counter fashion, he decided, well, if the average is 3 minutes, then all calls should be 3 minutes long. And that is a metric that now, as a bean counter, I can say, well, if all of our calls are 3 minutes and we can take care of our customers in 3 minutes, I can manage my costs because I can budget for that. And we're going to save money by trimming call time, and we're going to save money by being able to manage to this number. And so, true story, from the C-suite, it gets dictated down the line that now in the contact center, the quality program, quality is now going to be defined as a 3-minute call. And so the CSRs were told you have to take care of the customer in 3 minutes or less. And if they didn't, Then they were called in and warned and told that their average call time was above average. Well, you can see where this is going to lead. CSRs began to watch the timer on their screen, and when it hit 2 minutes and 58 seconds, they released the call. They hung up on the customer because that's what they were being held accountable to. And so now it blew up, and it became, customers, of course, got very, very angry because now they got a call back and they got hung up again. And it blew up, and now the bean counter who thought he was saving pennies by managing to a metric had a very, very expensive PR problem on his hands. And who knows, the incalculable cost of customers who just got angry and walked away. And that's what happens when you erase the human element and try and look at customer service simply as numbers and metrics.
Absolutely, absolutely, Tom. I'm sure that CEO must have gotten a lot of industry awards for this, and maybe a lot of customer awards for his, innovative thinking. Be that as it may, a lot of times, in leaders continue to talk about that. Let's keep our customer. Customer retention is the key. It takes a lot of money to try and get new customers, and that is where, even from a profitability point of view, it is better to have a customer remain with you. Isn't that logic also not enough to keep the existing customer, happy, and make sure that you hear them? Why is it so? Even business logic does not seem to be good logic enough, Tom.
I see it all the time. And I feel like when I entered the business 30 some years ago, it was better understood. The simple math of going, it costs 5 times as much money to get a new customer through the door in marketing and onboarding and than it does to keep an existing customer happy. And that simple logic, that simple business understanding has been by and large lost by many. And it's sad because it still holds true. And it's almost as if in our current world where technology changes so rapidly, where news changes so rapidly, where things trend up and down so rapidly, I sort of feel as though businesses approach customers almost like my customer churn is just like anything else in the world. It's just something that comes with the territory that I have to expect, live with, and put up with. But you don't. With an investment, a small investment of money, time, and energy to deliver a consistent service experience that is excellent, you will see your customer attrition drop exponentially. And you're suddenly going to find yourself with more loyal customers who are coming back and doing business with you on a more regular basis. And again, you can't calculate the word of mouth. They start telling people this is where I go, and there's money to be made simply in keeping loyal customers.
Absolutely, Tom. So for those companies, those owners, business owners, startups, all those people who want to understand more about customers, there have been hundreds of books written on this. You talk about 3 universals of customer expectation. Help us understand so that, through this particular episode, a lot of people can understand better about customers' expectations.
Yes. And, so part of what Intelligentix does is customer research. So all of our clients, we survey their customers. We find out what drives their satisfaction. And every client, every customer base has its own unique nuances that are important to understand to fine-tune your company's service delivery system. But over time, I began to realize as I am working with clients and I'm training their customer service reps and I'm doing presentations for the executive team that there were three universals that emerged. And in my book, I call them the holy trinity of customer satisfaction. And they're this. Number one, resolve my issue in one contact resolution. That's number one. And then number two, the customer also wants you to be courteous and friendly and care that something has not met their expectations. Customers still want that. And number three, and what's really interesting is that in the first 15 years of my career, there were only two. It was just resolution and courtesy and friendliness. And then the iPhone came out in 2007. And starting in 2008, we began to see time-related dimensions of service growing as a bigger and bigger and bigger driver of customer satisfaction. So now that's the third part of the Trinity. Respect my time. Now, there are a couple of things, AJ, that are critical to understand about these three things. One is some dimensions are what we call penalty variables. Others are reward variables. So a penalty variable is one where if you do it, I'm not going to necessarily reward you for doing because I just expect you to do it. But if you don't do it, I'm definitely going to penalize you by being less satisfied. A reward variable is the opposite. If you do it, the more you do it, the more I'm going to reward you in satisfaction. So let me give you and I began to realize also, by the way, that this also works in life. Now, in my home, one of the jobs that I'm responsible to do is to get the trash bins on the curb so that the trash truck can pick them up. And in our neighborhood, that's Monday morning at 7:30 a.m. My wife expects me to do this because that's my job. If I always forget, and I'm really bad at this, AJ, because it's Monday morning and I've got the weekend and I'm not thinking about it. So invariably, my wife hears the trash truck coming down the street at 7:32 and she yells, "Tom, did you put the bins out on the curb?" And I go, "Oh, no." Now, this is a penalty variable. So now she's not happy with me. She has diminished satisfaction. But if on Sunday afternoon, AJ, if I had set my alarm and reminder and I had gathered the trash and put the bins on the sidewalk for the truck Monday morning, my wife would not be standing inside the house to say, "Oh, Tom, I love you so much. You are the greatest husband in the world. I can't believe how much I love you because you put the trash bins on the curb." It's not a reward variable. It's a penalty variable. She's not happy with me for doing it. She's only angry with me if I don't. But if on my way back into the house, I see that our rose bush is in bloom and there's a beautiful rosebud on the bush, and I trim it and I sneak it in the house and put it in a little vase and I put it in front of her at her desk. Oh, she never fails to go, "Oh, I love you so much. Oh, that's beautiful. Thank you for thinking of me." That's a reward variable. So when you think about the three things, resolve my issue in one call, courtesy and friendliness and empathy, and time-related dimensions of service, courtesy and friendliness, that's the reward variable. The resolution and respecting my time are both penalty variables. So it's not enough just to resolve the issue in a timely way. The customer also wants to feel cared for. But if you pick up the phone and you're very courteous and friendly and you say, "I'm sorry that you've been inconvenienced," but you don't do anything to resolve the issue, and I have to make another phone call to get it resolved, and you've wasted my time, the punishment I give you in diminished satisfaction is going to be greater than any reward for you being courteous and friendly and empathetic. So you have to understand how they work together in order to maximize it.
Absolutely, absolutely. Very well explained here, Tom. And I wish a lot of customers had the same power of the wife to, to put that pressure on the companies and all. Then the world will be perhaps a much more different place.
I'm sorry, could you repeat that again, AJ?
I said very well explained, Tom. And I wish that, customers had much more power like the wife who can, put so much of influence on the CEOs and all so that they can, actually do things for the customer and try their best to make the customer happy all the time.
Absolutely. I mean, the customer is, the customer is who you're trying to win over on a constant basis. And every phone call, every contact, same with the email or a text or a chat string, every one of those interactions, your company is that customer is going to walk away with either an enhanced or diminished opinion of your company based on that interaction. And so every interaction is an opportunity. And too many businesses they don't even think about it. They just let it be what it is. And I can guarantee you, because we've done the research, I've done this for years, if you don't do call monitoring or quality assessment, and you don't establish a service excellence standard and then coach and train people to that standard, what you're going to have in any contact center, in any company, is you're going to have a bell curve. You're going to have a few CSRs who are naturally gifted and motivated and good. You're going to have a few customer service representatives that are in the wrong job, who should never be in that role, who you really don't want on the phone. And then you're going to have a bunch of CSRs in between. And what happens then is, as a customer, depending on who picks up the phone, I could have a drastically different experience. It could be really good. It could be really bad. It's probably going to be mediocre. And when that happens, the customers who have the bad experience walk away. The customers who have the good experience, you're probably going to get them back. Those who have the mediocre experience, they're now open to trying anybody who has the same service or product for about the same price or less, because you've done nothing to convince them to come back. And that's where you lose customers. So make the most of every opportunity to win those customers and keep them coming back.
Absolutely, absolutely, Tom. There is so much to learn about all this from your book, and I'm sure a lot of people would want to connect with you, learn more from you, be your client, be your company's client, learn more from your book. What's the best way for them to do so?
Yes, well, the book is called This Call May Be Monitored: What Eavesdropping on Corporate America Taught Me About Business and Life. It's available on Amazon. People can find me at my website, tomvanderwell.com, TomVanderwell.com. And my email address is tomvanderwell@gmail.com. And all the information about me, the book, my services, you can find at either tomvanderwell.com or intelligentix.com.
Wonderful. With this, it's a wrap on this very special edition of the KAJ Masterclass Live. Thank you so much indeed for joining us.
Thanks so much for having me, AJ.